mic checking, you're also checking the hall, the venue, the place. And so I can see as far as my eyes can go, all of you who've been part of this coming together at the NASCOM GCC Conclave. First, a good round of applause for the spirit with which this has been put together. I confess that this is the second time I'm here. The first time was in Bangalore. I had yet another very special guest, somebody who came from the world of cricket. And this time, the fireside chat has shifted on to the badminton capital of the country. And here we are, even as we gather here for the conclave, and as we end this and wrap this, there are many, many lessons to take home. There are many takeaways, as they call it. So, without further ado, I'm going to tell you who's going to join me on stage. Yes, you could wait for this very special person because he means a lot to us as a country. I will bring into your presence, ladies and gentlemen, a man whose biodata reads something like this. As a professional player, 2 national championships, 2 French Open, winning the Strasbourg International twice over, Asian Games bronze medal, and representing India at the Olympics. As coach, honing champions like Saina Nehwal, Parupalli Kashyap, and Lakshya Sen, who we have seen on our screens this season. The guest who joins me very soon in the next few seconds is a Dronacharya Award winner who's been the coach of the Indian national team and is a co-founder, chief coach at Prakash Padukone Academy, Bengaluru. And now this year, I don't need to tell you because chances are you've already guessed who this person is. He was among those who were the chief architects, having guided Team India to a never-before win, a Thomas Cup victory no less, a win that has placed Indian badminton at the very top of the world charts. Please join me in welcoming the unassuming yet brilliant Vimal Kumar. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Since you're always right. Yes, so we have, the best of the corporate universe, technology, all coming together to Hyderabad. And you've made this, flight and journey from Bangalore. How does it feel being in Hyderabad, Vimal?
Yeah, of course, I've been here many, many times, and it's, of course, not in front of an audience like this, but I've always been with sports people, so that is what all my life I've done. So, but it is a great experience. I do come here. We have a main national training center here, Gopichand Badminton Academy, so I do come here. So I'm quite, even during my playing days, I've attended many camps here at Fateh Maidan ground, and so I'm quite familiar with
So which means, a place, of course, that begins to have so many memories for each of us. Undoubtedly for you, it must be more. But I could not help but notice when, the person from the team actually swapped our name cards. At least for a few seconds, I enjoyed the position of being this chief, coach of the Indian badminton team. I was Vimal Kumar and you were Vasanthi Hariprakash.
Yes.
So this swap of roles, of course. However, I just want to draw the audience attention to this special picture that's in the backdrop. And for me, even as I received this picture, even having been one of those millions of Indians watching Thomas Cup, but this photograph of you with the cup in 2022 and Vimal Kumar in a Thomas Cup in probably 1981. Is that right?
Yes.
So, then you were a player, here you were a chief coach. What were the emotions when you were handling this?
No, it is, when I look back now, badminton has come a long way, and we are one of the best badminton playing nations in the world now. And many people have contributed immensely towards that. So when I look back in 1981, when we were nobody, so I was a teenager, and at the time, of course, you all know Prakash Padukone, and of course, many of you now know him as Deepika Padukone's dad.
That's
but
right.
he was Prakash Padukone for us, and he was he was really doing well at the world stage then. He was the best badminton player at that time, and that was also the time I also got selected to play for India. And I was a teenager, and our first outing was against China. Then the best badminton playing nation. China had just joined the World Badminton Federation, and we were sent to China. And so just prior to that, the thing is, when China came into the scene, Prakash beat most of the top Chinese players of that time,
Wow.
including the 1981 World Cup, which he won in Kuala Lumpur, beating the number one Chinese player, Han Jian. That was in front of a 15,000 crowd, and because in Malaysia, badminton is like cricket over here. So it is, there was so much of following, and so Prakash beat him 15-0. The Chinese man did not get even 1 point. So we were very young. We were watching. Of course, those times there was no live coverage. When we read it, it really inspired all of us. He beat him 15-0, 15, 18, 16. And that was a big thing for Indian badminton.
I think it still is.
Yes,
I mean,
it
beating
is.
the Chinese,
Yeah.
wow, and with this kind of a little smashing victory. Yeah.
So of course, then after that, immediately after that was the Thomas Cup. So I was the number 3 as a youngster. I was the number 3 player for India.
So after Prakash Padukone, Syed Modi, and
yes, myself. So 3 of us. So we were all selected, and we had to travel to Peking. At that time, it was not Beijing, it was called Peking. So we were in Peking, and so when we landed there, the first day, the Indian consulate person came. Of course, as a youngster, they said, next day, we can go, all of us should go and see Great Wall of China. So that's what they told us. So I said, we all went. I said, no practice, nothing. So they said, first day, Great Wall of China. Next day, again, the Indian consulate person came and said, no, you have to buy Chinese crockeries. It's very nice, you should buy. So we were taken for Chinese crockery. We were walking all around. Those times China wasn't as modern as now. I could see only the people with blue dress and all on cycle, and we had one friendship store there. We could buy some fruits there, so that is all. And we were in a hotel, and it was -8 or 10 degrees, and we were walking all over these places. And third day, we could practice a little bit. And the following day, we were playing China. So China, because they thought all the players would be like Prakash, so they fielded their best team. And, they were very, very strong. And they took the lot out, and I had to play the first match. And when I played, I was the number 2, because Prakash did not turn up. Because Prakash got injured, and, he did not turn up. So I played the second singles, but in the lot, I had to play the first match. So I played my first match. That was against their number 2 player. It was one of the hardest hitters, badminton. And 2 days, no practice, and
You were busy buying crockery and seeing
yes,
the
and
Great Wall.
and when we played, I've never played such a fast-paced rally in my life, so it was very tough, and I lost 15-3, 15-2. That time the scoring format was different. You had to serve to get a point. So I lost very badly. Then when I came out, the number 1 player was Syed Modi. So he said, you came out so fast, I didn't get time to warm up. He was teasing me, and, I felt very bad, so he went to play. He also got the same point, 3-15, 3-15 love or something. So then he came back, he kept on saying, I didn't get time to warm up, so I was very, very, the next day he had to play the first match, the reverse singles, there was reverse singles. So he played, again, no change. The score was again 1 and 2, and I played. I also got something very similar. And all our points added up did not reach 15. So that was the humiliation we got it, in China. So looking back, 40 years later, So now I could be there and we could beat all these countries. So that is why I held that this Thomas Cup, I literally cried. So it was very, very, very emotional for me. So
I think those emotions show, don't they? I mean, you know, when you see the picture I could request the team to play once again.
It's not that I won the Thomas Cup. The players did a good job. I was very happy. And but the most important thing was beating the best nations. All because we have good players. And in that 1 week, they all played to their potential. And that was something very, very special. And I could be a part of it that time, you know, so maybe
that's classic Vimal Kumar for you. Understated, modest, always, of course, in the background, but, you know, like the backbone of the Indian team. But let's put things in perspective. I want to ask the audience, how many of you have never touched a badminton racket ever? There you go. So which means all of you, I'm assuming, have played at least one game of badminton sometime. Is that correct? Did you all hear that? So can we actually have a show of hands? How many of you have played a match of badminton?
Yeah, good.
There you go.
I'm very happy.
One sec, please hold on. Please hold on with those things because I'm the only camera person this side. So I'm going to, yes. So those who have played badminton and therefore there is no dearth of popularity for badminton as a sport, Vimal. But success was never a problem, so to speak, but it was individual. But to come together as a team and to beat 14-time champions Indonesia and in such a spectacular manner after going for the bronze and then sealing the gold, that must have taken some work. It's not a fluke. It's not some a little bit of formula here and there. So throughout this next few minutes, we are going to decode at least, you know, how this came about, because here is a man who was not just privy to what was going on in the backstage, but was also one of the people responsible for that. So I'm planning to just divide this, given the fact that we have people in the audience who are themselves leaders, who are leaders in technology, in business, and probably face something for which this lesson will be important. And one of the first thing I think is resilience. Like there are companies, there are organizations which start off, but then they don't really last the curve, Vimal. Here we are talking about, of course, 40 years of your own journey. When you said that you fell down like a pack of cards to the Chinese and then came back, like how? So let's spend a few moments for this resilience, which is, I feel, a very important one. How do you have staying power? What do you think is the mantra for that?
Maybe, I'm from an era where in India, the academics was the priority. So, it was very tough in the early 80s because either you become a doctor or engineer or a lawyer. Otherwise, everything was very fixed at the time. 15 years, you have to be out of school, 20 graduation, 25 years. If you don't find a job, settle down in life, you are branded as a failure. So that was a sort of a system prevailing when I decided to play badminton because Prakash was the best badminton player in the world. And I also wanted to be like Prakash. And I was a science student. My mother wanted me to become a doctor.
Thank God. Of course. Would you have liked Coach Vimal Kumar or would you have liked the medical doctor Vimal Kumar? Who would the country have gained by more? But to also share with the audience that at the time when Vimal Kumar entered the scene or was making a career in badminton, here was Prakash Padukone, who had already won the All England Championship, I think 1980. And before that itself had won the Dronacharya Award. So anything which strikes you from the very first time you met Prakash?
No, as a youngster from Kerala, I'm basically from Kerala. So I used to travel to Bangalore and practice with Prakash. And Prakash was in Bangalore then, and so we used to, as a junior player, I used to practice a lot with him. And then when he became the best player, he moved to Denmark. So when I finished my graduation, I moved to England. So that was a big decision. And so those times, you didn't needed a visa to go to England. It was a Commonwealth country. You could just get a visa. It was very easy. But prior to that, I was traveling to England, and so I moved, shifted my base. So that did help me, to maybe sacrificing my medical seat. Of course, not worrying too much about the consequences, because if you think sometimes too much, what will happen? Sometimes it is not to do that, and just get on with things and take it as it. It will, if you're sincere about it, if you're passionate about it, things can happen, and
Yeah.
so.
I'm going to spend a few moments on this because here is where you're talking about what goes on in the mind of a player. All of us have, as a race, survived the pandemic, or at least when I say survived the pandemic, we're really hoping that there is nothing else that's really coming up. But then, the work from home scenarios, or as Shrikant from the audience was sharing with me a few moments before about attrition, about talent retention, about people who are going through a certain stress in their own mind. There's so much of uncertainty.
Yeah.
But here you are in a sport where there's so much of it's so much of a mind game.
Yes.
How do you train yourself, Vimal? I mean, is there something that you share with the players as well?
Yes, I think the players also exactly, like in the corporate world, the professional players also went through something very similar in this COVID times, and but sometimes we used to sneak in, open early morning the badminton courts for them. We flouted a lot of rules, the COVID rules. And
now it can be said.
yeah, I can say that now, but we because when you are not physically active. And when you're not able to, the athlete can really drop their level, and so that was required. And so in different ways, we had to do such things. And but again, when there is no competition for a player, you can train as much as you want, but when you don't get an opportunity to compete, then it is not good. So we can tell them so many things, but if you don't, so many players were suffering from that. So many times, we would say, it would come. This is a phase, you need to go through, but it went on and on and on. There was no competitions. So that was something very, very disturbing, and we created, in fact, competitions inside the training arena among the players. When it opened up, we did many such things. We did for the players, because that is something very important for any field. Any competition. If you are not able to compete, whatever you can do in a match situation, in a match situation, you will not get that in a practice situation.
And I think the sense of competition also brings out, or at least puts in mind, a big match temperament. It brings out the best in you in some ways.
But again, also the athletes go through the fear of losing, because that also you should never be scared of losing, because that is something we in sports field, when you achieve something, then you try to avoid competitions. You shy away from playing, give various excuses. So these things, we need to address. And so the best way to do that is making them understand, talking to them. But eventually, if they are not sincere, if you are not sincere, I would say, you have to be sincere.
Yeah.
Then a lot of your work is done. So that is something, and that sincerity comes when you're passionate about it.
Yeah.
And at that level, they are passionate about it, and
so you've spoken about resilience, you've spoken about passion and sincerity, which I think applies across the board. How about the drive? Because that is the second big let's say, component I see in your journey. I was, even as a journalist, I've been interested in how coaches, what is the strategy that you use? So one of the things seems to be that the drive, which you have often spoken about, was necessary to clinch this win.
Yes, because if you look at it at badminton, we have always had brilliant individual successes. If you look at it right from the 50s, we have Nantu Natekar. Then maybe in the 60s, Dinesh Khanna came along. Then of course, Prakash changed everything. Then Gopi came along. And then of course, for women, if you look at it, Saina Nehwal set the trend. She made the women, she gave that extra fillip to the women, the players, to do well in the sport. Then Sindhu came along. So individually, Srikanth, many players, but as a team, I've been traveling and I've been with the teams, but never that belief was there. So individually they would good, but someday they will win, But again, the depth wasn't there.
Yeah.
If you look at it in 2014, the women were the first one to win a bronze medal in the eBay Cup, similar to Thomas Cup. So Saina and Sindhu won the match. Then we had Ashwini Ponnappa and Jwala Gutta. They won the matches for us, and so we got a bronze medal. But Thomas Cup, this time, everybody was comparing it to 1983 World Cup. But I would say no. 1983 World Cup, India was not good in the 50-over format. We just won it. Of course, we had brilliant cricketers, they clicked and they won it. But here in badminton, when you look back, it was a complete team. We had 3 best singles players in the world, and we have one outstanding world-class doubles combination. So, and basically them believing that they could, because they never had that belief. But when we sat and selected the team, at the time I did mention, I said we have an outside chance. Like Denmark. Anyway, again, for your information, I can say only 6 nations have won Thomas Cup in its 73-year history. It was always Indonesia, Malaysia, China. Then Japan won it once, and Denmark won it once. So before going, I did mention we can also sneak in like Denmark and win the Thomas Cup. But maybe, of course, it's not like cricket, we don't get nobody really believed that. But players believed in
And this is at a time when 160 countries actually play badminton, but they've been only like
So they play the qualifying stages. It happens once in 2 years.
Yeah.
And then the best 8 nations were in Thailand. So India was also seeded 5. So that's why, unlike cricket, we were a seeded top badminton playing nation. And then all of them, whether it was singles, we had the number 1 singles player was Lakshya Sen, then Srikanth, Pranoy. And then our top doubles combination was Satvik Reddy and Chirag Shetty. So they both, in fact, always our weak link was the doubles. We always had decent singles players.
Yeah.
So, but this time they turned things around for us.
They did. I'm going to ask the audience to keep your questions ready. In the next few minutes, when we open this floor to questions. But Vimal, one of the things which is a conflict in a sense. I mean, you've spoken about drive, and we all have much to learn from that. How, even if you take the Thomas Cup example, people could have easily gone complacent when you won the bronze.
Yep.
I remember when we were talking a few days before, you did mention that Indians celebrate too early.
Yep.
Right? And we don't, and in that sense, we can get sort of laid back in some way, but to push the players right from the bronze to that gold, I think was that.
I think, definitely what you said, especially after our win over Malaysia. In the quarterfinals, we beat Malaysia. And when we won that, we were all celebrating, so they were all, so then in the team, I did mention, I said, no, we have not finished yet. Because I've seen in the Olympic Games, so many hockey, everything, before we go all the way, we celebrate. We say, when we reach the semis, we say, oh, we are already a bronze medalist. Or if we get to the finals, we say we are a silver medalist. So that is not. So that thing has to change. So again, it is that approach and remaining, you have to remain grounded. You need not have to worry too much, about the end result. Yes, not finished. Yes,
but
enjoy yourself.
How do you manage to stay so calm? I mean, I've had some people in the media saying that Vimal sir, as many players call you, is that you're a picture of calm. I mean, is that something that you try to suppress, or you are a calm person from within?
No, I'm not a calm person. But yes, because they are all very young, and I was the oldest guy. Maybe I had to show that, and it was. But if you look at it, many of these youngsters, who achieved this result, they're all below 25 years. So they are bound to be hyper. That naturally, they will be. All those things will be there.
Yeah.
We should not curb that too much. Give them that space. So that's all. Just we did in the team meetings. We could do that. But the most important thing, I would give credit to the players, because the top players, whether it was Srikanth or Pranoy, and so after our meetings, they would sit with the young, a lot of players.
Right.
They would also talk to them. So that was something new I have seen in the team. So helping each other. See, yes, coaches, we can talk so many things, but players, when you help each other,
yeah,
then only the things can happen. So that exactly, it has never happened before, but these players were motivating each other. So I kept on seeing that, after this thing, they will huddle in a small place, they would sit, talk to each other, address their concerns. Those who have lost that particular day, they would pump them up, and such things. This is something that was something very, very special.
Yeah, I mean, clearly it's not something that you had the advantage of when you were a player yourself,
Yes.
and then almost about 30 years now as a coach? As a coach, 30?
Yes, maybe, yes.
Yeah. So what have been the moments of pain in your career, in your life, from which you had to build yourself up?
No, it is, for me, maybe when I look back as a player, when I ask Prakash, he always tells me that at the end of your career, as a player, he has no regrets. Whatever the best he could do, he did it. So but if you ask me, I have regrets. When I look back, I wish, I could have done this. So maybe that helped me in my coaching. So that is something, eventually we all should strive to get to that. Maybe
it's almost like you, like this victory was your realization of your own unfinished dreams in a manner.
Yes, this is the best moment of my badminton life. I can very clearly say, yes, I've worked with players, and the players have become won tournaments and such things. But what I have got from this team win, as a team, we clicked. So that is something very special, and
it is very. If one were to really take the kind of players who made it to the team there, and the players whom you have coached. I mean, let's say Saina, for instance. Now, in Saina Nehwal's case, there was a time some years back when she moved, and we're talking in Hyderabad, so it's kind of very appropriate, that she moved from, let's say, the Gopichand Academy to come to Bangalore.
Yeah.
The way we readers or, people who are fans of the sport saw that, this is a kind of one camp to another. And people did try to brew politics around it. But how did you see it?
No, I feel for an athlete, it is very limited span for her. So when they are playing at the highest level, it will be for 8 to 10 years you can play. So at that time, they will move on. So as coaches, we need to be broad-minded. Whatever the help, we can give, we should provide to that athlete. Because we don't have so many world number best players. So when somebody of that line, when they are there, we should look at helping them. So I looked at it only that, because I know Saina I've known her for many, many years. In fact, when I was the head coach of India in 2006 Commonwealth Games, I gave her the first time the opportunity to play in the Commonwealth Games.
Saina must have been around 16?
16 years then, So since then I've known her, and, so when she came and asked me going through this, I said, yes, you come to Bangalore? Yes. But a lot of people looked at it in a different way. But for me, as a coach, of course, I always say this also, coaching also, it's a thankless job. But we have to help. Because the satisfaction, whatever way, no coach, in my opinion, also can claim that, yes, from grassroots level, I can make them to the world level. they will go through different phases. So it is like the students from primary school to middle school, high school, they go through various phases. So as coaches, we should be, as leaders, maybe in every field, it's the same. We need to ensure that, somebody, if we can help them in realizing their potential, we should do that. And that's all I just did for Saina, for
That's really a very evolved way of looking at it. I mean, whether it's a sport or a business, it's ultimately larger than individuals or individual egos.
Yes, it is. I can put it that way. Yes, but maybe for a coach, you feel sad. Yes, I've helped them so many. Suddenly they are leaving you. No, it is. You cannot think on those lines. You coach. It is our job is keep any talent coming across. We have to, if we can help them the best way possible, we have the facility, we should do that. So that is something, anyway, it is good for the sport. I want, and I'm looking at badminton getting better recognition. Badminton needs to be, in the same state as cricket. That's what I'm looking at. I want the sport. In my lifetime, I want to see our sport getting there. Even though we are the world's best team now, and we can still get better. And I want to see that happening, And also, and I see lots of young players, even girls, I can see, below 20 years, so many, 8, 10, 12 of them, they want to become like Saina or Sindhu. So that is, but they need support.
Yeah.
See, at the moment, the only support they get is from the government.
Yeah.
The Sports Authority of India but if these people can get that support, I'm telling you.
Do you also see talent coming in from rural India, small town in badminton?
Yes, it is plenty. And again, to you, all I want to mention is that this is one sport which comes to Indians very naturally. Because like hockey or cricket, it is very natural. We are good at it. So if we can, earlier when I used to do badminton clinics for World Federation, I used to interact a lot with Hanjian, Morton Frost. They were all top badminton personalities, and when we used to interact, they always used to say Indians have very good strokes, but they don't have the legs to get to the shuttle. So this is what they used to tease, But now I can see we have the legs, we are getting there.
Yeah.
So we have become strong, and we have good trainers now. We have good physios. So everything, a lot of things are falling in place. But we need, again, support another level. Because support in the sense I'm talking about it is the exposure. The younger lot at 15, 16, they need to play international badminton. And that's what they require. And that is the support, those boys and girls needs to be provided. And if we can do that, it is, we can really, really be consistent in whatever, we are getting these results. And I've just told the girls as well, 4 years from now, we should win the Yuba Cup. I was still talking to Sindhu. I said, Sindhu, you are the best player in the world, one of the best players. You can motivate. There are girls, you pep them up, we can get there.
Yes.
So we have won the Thomas Cup, 4 years, 2026. We can look at
more power to that. As we wrap this interview, I want to, before we ask the audience for questions, where do you see Indian, especially after the Uber Cup win and being on top of the world in that sense, where do you see Indian badminton in the next 25 years? And as a follow-up, to the NASCOM audience here, is there any sort of suggestion or thing that you would like to tell the people in the world of technology and business to last that long?
Yes, all I can tell you is badminton is a very technically and physically a very tough sport. Many of you don't know this. See, badminton is very tough. I mentioned this this afternoon also. So when you look at it, so we all get glued to the TV and watch tennis, football. Tennis, of course, we watch 6 hours, we sit in front of the TV and watch an exciting match. In that 6 hours, we say Nadal played for 6 hours. 6 hours. But if you look at the statistics, ball in play, it is 45 minutes in that 6 hours. Rest of the time, they're sitting down, eating, drinking, Hawkeye, replays, so many things happen. But in badminton, a 1.5 hour badminton, ball in play, 1.5 hours is 1 hour.
Wow.
So that is the toughness, you need to know about the sport. It's
Yeah.
very, very, because we are constantly gasping for breath. And when there is a hard rally, our pulse rate is in the range of 190 to 200.
Whoa.
And in 20 seconds, you need to bring it to 160 and continue another rally. So that's the sort of intensity involved in the sport. But of course, there is not much of awareness about the sport. But again and again, I can tell you is that, yes, we can only get better. See, we were no effort. When I look back, at least I could see I want consistency. I'm looking at consistency. That's what we need to aim. We have good players. We need to be consistent in our performances. So I'm very hopeful. 25 years, I don't know whether I'll be around, but definitely, the badminton will definitely be doing well. I'm very hopeful.
NASCOM will have its convention next 25 years. I hope I'm also around to make that conversation with you happen on the great moment of badminton. Questions, please. This is question time. If you have you can put up your hand. A mic will reach you, and you can briefly introduce yourself and the question.
Hi, my name is Puneet. I'm the chair of the GCC Council. Vimal sir, thank you so much for sharing your story and for whatever you've done for the country. Just a little small question on something which Vasanthi has already touched upon. For anybody to be successful and achieve something, there's a lot of failure on the way.
Yes.
And as a coach, when you see the potential and
Yes.
people are failing, how do you just give us some tips on how do you talk to them? How do you pull them up? How do you handle that kind of a situation?
It depends on the situation. A lot of athletes go through, these ups and downs. That is part of it. But the most important, because is taking care of your body. Many a times, the athlete, when they get bad results, maybe due to injuries, apprehensions, this anxiety also, lets them down. And but most of the time, what I have noticed is the injuries. So again, many at the time they don't listen to you, because the player mindset will always be that they will find fault with everybody. They will never take the blame. So this is something, we need to tell them that, yes, if they have injuries, take care of your body. Taking care of that aspect is very important, because at some stage, training smart is very important. Because, when you are physically, when you are growing up, 8 till 18, 19, yes, you need to do a lot of hard work. But after that, once you attain this thing, then training smart is very important. So sometimes, it is the tactical aspects. Then, like I mentioned, these physical aspects comes into play. Then telling them. But what, as coaches, we need to do is, we have to give them always hope. That hope is very, very important. But if you don't have hope, then, it is very tough. So giving them this, you can do this, that pathway, the tournament planning, we do that. We then keep, that's the only thing. But again, from an athlete point of view, they also need to take responsibility. So that is something, if you don't take responsibility, there is no, because these days I've seen everybody wants spoon feeding. There is a ready-made solution for everything. There is no ready-made solution.
Are the parents also more ambitious than?
Yes, definitely. Because we, it is because when we started the academy, they used to come and ask us at 12 years, the parent want at 18 years, what are we going to get? So we used to tell them, no, don't compare, IIM and IIT with badminton, so just, so that is something, we need to, but things have changed. But it is a very, very tough process. But keeping them motivated is very important, especially if you find there is a spark. Because as coaches, we also know there is hope. This guy can do it, deliver. And, then we have to find different ways. So like I've said, most of the time, where we falter is doing the wrong training. the physical aspects. We, with injuries, we try to go and play matches, and then it just don't help. And so, but it is, I don't know, the corporate world, you guys have a lot more input, but I'm just talking purely from coach's point of view.
Yes, I'm sure it would be relatable, and people are making their own notes. Particularly women in the audience, if you had any question, but to do with the sport or with Indian sport, that's one question I wanted to ask you. Saying from the time you were playing, in the 80s or even Prakash in the 70s, when you said that you couldn't really imagine that India will get to that, where did that generational shift happen, Vimal? That is, how did we not only turn world beaters, but people began to take us seriously? Is that is it also to do with where India stands now, the gross national power as an emerging economy?
Yeah, maybe, one of the things I have noticed is maybe in 2010, that was that sporting revolution maybe happened. The Commonwealth Games was allotted to India in 2010. So that time, maybe, lot more fun started coming in, especially badminton benefited because Saina winning the gold and Ashwini and Jwala, winning the women's gold, and such things helped. And then the funding improved a little better because eventually it is that, you have to, because badminton is like the tennis circuit, you have to be in the circuit. These athletes have to compete. And when that opportunity can be given to them, I'm not saying in every sport, why I'm saying passionately about badminton is because we have bridged the gap with the world standards. We are there. So our youngsters need to...
So you have yourself personally seen the way the world looks at India then and now? If you were to define it, because you've played so much you've lived in Europe, you've dealt with culturally so many, and that's a similar scenario for many organizations that have to deal with multi-cultures.
Yes.
Whereas here, you are someone who's lived that life.
Yes. No, I'm from an era when I played badminton, I played with my money. Because I earned little money. I was in the top 20, but I was in badminton, there is not money, not big money, not like tennis, you can't earn big money. But Prakash, of course, he was in Denmark. He was the world's best player. But whatever little money I earned, I spent back. I used that for my travel. And but compared to now, everything is provided. So that is something the players also need to realize. It is the players have to. It is not your birthright to get everything. The sponsorship, all those things are there. You also, the players needs to understand, they have to invest that money back into the sport. So if you look at it, I always mention Roger Federer. If you say he may be earning 50 million from tennis. It is not that 50 million, he invests that money back. He saves, yes, he invests that money back. It's not that Swiss government pays him everything, no. So this is something, that is professionalism. So that has to come into Indian sport. The top people, when they earn big money, you spend. The money has to be invested is on the next line, and the lower down. So that is. But in India, we give recognition when they get to the top. Then we go overboard. Put too much, and so that is something. And I hope it will change. Because we are just a nation, just started excelling in sport. So this is a phase. I can see that. Maybe I lived in Europe, I've seen that life. But I feel, slowly it is coming into India. But sport, we have to, corporates, everybody has to support.
Yes,
so that is
everybody
something
has
I
to
want.
support.
Yes, you have to. And yes, cricket, it is good. But badminton also is good. We are also the best, and we need the support. Yes.
If there are questions, please put up your hand. Can a mic reach? Yes, the two gentlemen there.
Okay. Can you hear me? Yeah, you can.
Yes. Could you stand up for a moment, sir? Yeah, you're in the center.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I can stand up.
Yes.
Okay, Vimal, I grew up watching people like Deepu Ghosh, yourself, Prakash Padukone, Vikram Singh, all your contemporaries.
Yes.
My question is simple. I'm a badminton player. So, did you ever beat Prakash Padukone?
Yes, I've beaten him twice. But of course, that was towards the end of his career. Yeah, this is, again, it was in one of the state championships. Prakash moved from Denmark. I also had moved down to India. This is, I'm talking about 1987. And it was in Bangalore. We played the state championships. It was organized by in Canberra Union in Malleshwaram. So we played. So Prakash was playing there after many, many years. So there were a lot of people. And I had just moved from Kerala. I was living in England then and moved to, so we played the finals. And we were used to Yonex shuttlecocks then. And so we didn't have those shuttles available at that time. So, but we had spare tubes. So we used that shuttles to play that match. And of course, I beat Prakash then for the first time. Of course, it was a long match. It was packed. It was a hall like this. So many people were there.
I can absolutely imagine that. Is there footage of that match somewhere?
I don't know. No videos then.
Oh, no.
But when I beat, I got 100 rupees. Prakash got 75 rupees. And the prize money.
Which year do you recall?
That was 1987.
87.
Yes.
Okay, right. Princely Sum. There was another gentleman who wanted to ask a question. Yes. Remember, I'm looking to the women as well. If you have questions, please, this is the time. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Vishal and I'm part of Aries Management Group. So first of all, when the Thomas Cup happened, when you cried, I think the entire India cried with you. You're not the only one.
Yeah, thanks.
And we're very proud of that.
Thanks, thank you.
My question is that you've coached many world-class players and you've seen many world-class players. So what is that one strength or the characteristic which differentiates the top one with the rest of the folks?
No, of course, when you look at it, that fearlessness, I would put it that, not worrying about, they were all under pressure, to win each match and that is where, I thought, the players help each other, that support. So that I found it extremely good with this lot. Especially Lakshya Sen, he was the youngest player. He was losing his earlier matches. Then when he played, he had some shoulder issues. And but when he played that first singles, against Ginting, or the Indonesian, and that was that match, he lost that first game so badly. And I was also very upset, because he wasn't attacking, and then. Because the playing conditions vary, and it was a different tough condition. There was air conditioning was such that, from one side it was tough to play. But when he got that second game, and somehow the focus in with which he played, even third game when I still remember 11-7 he was down, so again finding a way to pull that match.
Yeah.
We could have lost. We could have lost even the tie, because Indonesia always, they have the tradition. They've always come back from. In fact, they thrashed China 3-0.
Yeah.
And Japan the previous day as well. So Lakshya winning that match was very special. Then Satvik and Chirag again, they were match point down. So that is not easy. A lot of people can say, it just happened, but happening, in a big stage and consistently doing that over a period, because all the other teams were also equally good. It is not that the other teams were weak or anything, and we were all on par. And maybe that 1 week, it was our week. They all played to their potential. So that is, I cannot explain that, But full credit I would give to the players. It is they are special.
Yeah, I think a lot is going to be dissected and analyzed in the days to come. Particularly, badminton champions or at least aspiring players are going to do that. Did we have any questions from or of course it's a wrap up time. Yes, one question this side to my left.
Hi Vimal, this is Rakesh here from Cummins.
Hi.
So I have a question. So talent management is, challenge everywhere. So in sporting also, if you see that, you have academy and then there are a lot of players are there, and there are always top runners.
Yes.
How do you decide, or how when you decide that someone will go for nationals or internationals, but there are others who are top runners, how do you manage that, expectations, and how do you manage that talent?
Yes, it is very, very tough. Especially, how the athlete thinks, because everybody wants to win. And, when, to various reasons, some of them don't perform. And there is no ready-made solution to this. Because in my opinion, as coaches, we know certain players, they have that ability to win. That quality will be there. I don't know, whether it is natural or anything, but the more matches when they play, you can observe that. You get to know, yes, they can deliver. This is, I don't know how I can put it across to you, but when they play, when they are going through the matches, we know these are the players, yes, who can, especially when they're playing international badminton, have they got the ability to beat better players? Because it's easy to play, when somebody is equal to you or below you, but converting them, because Indians, they always say, we always, well played, bad luck. So that was the aspects earlier. But now, we know this particular thing, we can convert these matches. So that is, as coaches, we can get to know that at 15, 16 years of age. When they are at that age, we can very clearly judge. So as coaches, sometimes, we also need to tell the athlete, that's the time. Maybe you want to follow the sport professionally or academics. You can clearly decide at the time, because that's a big decision. But that is sometimes the parents can make. But as coaches also, we can tell them. But that doesn't mean that you stop playing. Play to a certain level. Maybe you can play for your state. Maybe you can play for the country. At the highest level, it is they will have limitations. But we can clearly get that from watching them play matches. Like, for example, I can tell you one small thing about Lakshya Sen. When he came to us, he was just 9 years. But when we made him play, he had that ability to keep the shuttle inside the court, will not make mistakes. See, in badminton, we always, there's a long rally, we are gasping all the time. It is incomplete recovery. That is, that a player should enjoy that situation. This sort of a situation, you are gasping all the time, but then you have to play next rally, but without making mistakes. If somebody has that ability at a small age, they would do that. Such kids, yes, we can then work on their strength, techniques. So I always look at it that way. That is one way of me identifying a young kid, whether he has the potential to go all the way.
Yeah, I think that passion shows in the glint and glow on your face and eyes. Who are the future leaders of Indian badminton that you see at this point? Any names you want to share?
Yes, we have some good one. Of course, Lakshya Sen is already established. Then we have Priyanshu Rajavat. He's a youngster. Kiran George, Maisnam Mairaba. He's from Manipur. There's another kid. But we always talk about the boys, and there are many girls. That's what I want them to be supported. I want, because there are below 20 years. Like I mentioned, there are so many teenage girls, 17 to 20, who are really playing, training really hard, and they're giving their all.
Yeah.
And, I can literally see them putting in a lot of effort. So they need that support. Of course, including me, we compare them with Saina and Sindhu, and, but no, they can. And that's why, when I talk to them, I always tell them 2026, we can win the Yuba Cup. So the girls are plenty of girls. And,
I wish really more and more girls come in, and that coming from a father of two girls himself.
Yeah.
Vimal, all these past few minutes, you have shared with us what it actually takes. I mean, given that this is a corporate universe, no one can know it better than you. You can have all the PowerPoint presentations, fancy terms, a road map, and big terminologies and whatnot. What actually counts is that when you go and win, that matters. The matches that matches where it all matters. And you've shared so much with us this afternoon. Thank you so much. Thank you, really. Maybe hear it for the man, his sport.
No. My language is just pure coach's language. So I hope you can understand that. It is.
It is a coach's language that was so authentic. And that was what made it so much relatable as well. So on that note, of course, we are going to wish Indian badminton a greater time. And thank you all for being a fabulous audience. I hope each of you will also be ambassadors of this sport back home, carry this to your neighbors and the dream of Vimal and the entire team may turn true. It's been a pleasure anchoring this conversation. Thank you so much, Vimal.
Thank you, Vasanthi.
Thank you, and what a fitting end to a fabulous forum. Hearing Vimal Kumar speak and recall the moments that India won the Thomas Cup, I think was a fabulous moment way to end this on a high note.
Absolutely. I mean, that was so motivating to hear the emotion and passion in Vimal and the way he shared right from that 40-year-old defeat to where we are. Amazing stuff for all of us leaders. Well, folks, it was great to have you as an audience, as a virtual audience, and look forward to seeing you again next year. Hopefully in person if things improve. But until then, see you soon.
Goodbye and see you next year.
Bye-bye.